Hello guys, this is Iron-Eyed X from the Enjoy clan on the North American server, coming to you again with another YouTube video. This one is going to be covering a lot of the gameplay and tactics of Clan Wars. Most of my videos I do like to cover Clan Wars. It's my favorite thing in the game. It's the reason why I still passionately play World of Tanks, is because of Clan Wars. So we're going to be going over some of the different things that you want to do in Clan Wars, some of the different tactics and whatnot that I personally use. I am the DC in charge of all of Clan Wars for Enjoy. I'm also one of the main callers. And before we get into everything, I just want to say real quick to everybody who showed up to this training room. It was just a spur of the moment. I just said, hey, let's do this. All these guys just hopped on here real quick to help me out to make this video. And I just want to say thank you to all of them. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And you gals as well. Alright, so what the scenario that we're presenting right here is on the cliff map. Very, very common. This middle area is contested virtually every time on this map in Clan Wars. One of the major fighting areas is this central area. Now, what I'm going to be covering, though, is the engage command. I want people to know exactly what I mean when I say engage. So what I told both groups of these heavy tanks to do is they're going to go into the middle and they're going to engage the enemy. Now, when I say when engage, that means I want them to side scrape, peek-a-boom, hold down, whatever they have to do depending on what tank they're in, to use the strengths of the tank that they are in to their best advantage to engage the enemy. Now, I want them to try to kill the enemy, do as much damage as they possibly can, but I do not want them to physically push on the enemy and expose themselves to that much fire and potentially take that much damage and die. Though in this circumstance both teams will just continue slugging it out until there's no one left. So again, depending on what tank you're in, you need to use the strengths of that tank to try and engage the enemy. Teamwork is very, very important here, extremely important. Focus fire. I can't stress how big of a deal that is in this scenario especially. You don't all have to be shooting at the same time to focus fire. If y'all are peek-a-booming and side-scraping, if y'all are all shooting the same guy, you're focus firing. You don't all have to be shooting the same guy at the same time. Also, you want to prioritize targets. You want to go after the high DPM tanks. In this case, the T-57s I'd want to kill first. After them, I'd want to kill the Echo 5. And after the Echo 5, I'd want to kill the IS-7s. So prioritize targets, focus fire, very important. But this right here, what we're doing is engage. You see the 57s, E5s, they're hold downing. They're trying just to expose their turrets. T-57s trying to pop off their clips and get back into cover quickly. E5s, basically the same thing but without the clip. You see the IS-7s on the right hand side. They don't have the depression of the American tanks, so they're trying to use their turrets and angle their armor to bounce shots. This is what I need y'all to do when we engage tanks, and that's the command. Just try to do as much damage as you can. As soon as you're reloaded, make sure that you're able to put a round into the enemy, but do not actually push on them. We don't want to, ideally, you don't want to push on a group of tanks that have the same number of tanks that you do, because you'll have just as much guns shooting back at you as that you're able to put onto them. And if they're a skilled team and they're focus firing as well, you'll just, you could potentially lose. So there's no reason to do that. So that's why we would engage, is because I just want to keep these tanks busy. I want to keep the enemy pinned down. I don't want them to move. I don't want them to be able to retreat. But I do want them to start dying. So that's why we use the engage command. At the same time this was going on, we'd either be flanking them, or we'd have lots of arty hitting them, or whatever the case may be. So again, just everybody see what's going on here. All the tanks, they're trying to use the advantages of the tanks they have as best they can. But this is what the engage should look like. No pushing, no one acting crazy, no one exposing too much of themselves. yeah, so if anybody has any questions about engaging, you know, whatever, anything to do with Clan Wars or tanks, just leave it in the comments, or you can send me a message. Either one is just fine. We're going to go on to another scenario now, and let's see what we have next. And we are back. Okay, now for the second scenario that we're doing here, we are on the map Himmelsdor. We have drastically different tanks, E100s, IS-7s again, 215 meat again, Moss, and a Leopard 1 for Go mediums, right? Okay, what we're going to be covering for this little segment is pushing into the enemy. This is probably the single most important thing you can do in Clan Wars, is to push properly. It's so important. I can't stress it enough to do this right, to do it right. Push hard when you're supposed to, focus fire hard when you're supposed to, and just completely overwhelm the enemy. Now, reasons why do we push like this? You know, because you don't do this in pub matches. So why do we do it in Clan Wars? We do this in Clan Wars because we want to overwhelm the enemy, just blitzkrieg style, right? I want to go in there, I want to kill the enemy before the enemy caller can reinforce them, before he can move those tanks, before he can do anything. It's my job as a caller to make sure that I have enough tanks in the proper positions to make sure that we will win this push. As long as my soldiers are pushing in hard and focus firing, it's my job to ensure that they are in a situation that they are guaranteed to win. And that's why we do pushes. We want to quickly overwhelm them with the superior force, with superior firepower, and take out a bunch of tanks. And in Clan Wars, if the enemy team loses a group of 4 or 5 tanks, it's extremely difficult to overcome that. It's very difficult. So what we're going to be covering here, I've got a group of E100s. We're going this way. My Moss, IS-7s, 215B, and Leopard, their orders are to push in that way. I'm going to give the same command. We will both go at the same time. I've given the orders to the other team to defend their last. They don't know where we're coming from, though. I just told them defend this side of the map as best they could. Okay, the order's been given. It's time to push. So all tanks are moving forward. All tanks are going. You see up north, everybody's engaging. Then you push right into the enemy, just like these E100s are doing. They're pushing right into them, snapping off a shot. They're keeping the engagement going. Do not sit back and side scrape. Another reason to stay with your guys, even if you're reloading, is because you're sharing damage. In a big brawl like this, when there's so much stuff going on, focus fire for the enemy team becomes extremely difficult. So in this big, huge mess, the reason why you want to stay up in with your group, even if you're reloading, even if your gun's been took out, it doesn't matter. You still have hit points, and that alone could save the guy next to you, along, of course, with simping. But we'll cover that at a different time. This is all about pushing. We're push. So we took a superior force, we rammed it, focus fire down into this force, and this is exactly what we want to happen in Clan Wars. If you push hard, you push fast, you focus fire, you'll overwhelm the enemy quickly, and you can just completely trash them. Again, I went over why we do this in Clan Wars. In Himmelsdor, it's a really big thing here. Now, one thing about pushing, guys, in maps like Himmelsdor, when you come around that corner, if you have, let's say on the 8 line over there, if you are an E100 and there's 5 friendly tanks behind you, and there's only enough room for one of you to cross, then you just keep on going past the guy. Don't stop. I see this happen a lot, and sometimes is the lead tank will stop, and there's not enough room to get around them. So, guys, make sure that you're using common sense, using your heads. The idea of pushing is you want to get as many guns on target as quickly as possible, and just completely overwhelm the enemy. Absolutely overwhelm them. Now, in this situation, I just wanted a different feel than Himmelsdorf to go over pushing. It's the same thing, though. We're going to be doing the same thing. one group of tanks pushing into another group, defending group of tanks. Now in this scenario, this is very, very likely what you encounter all the time. In that last one, the enemy had just had a big group of tanks. You know, we were separated kind of. This is a more what you would encounter in this match as well. Okay. Guys, another thing I want to go over real quick. I didn't say in the last little bit there was everything I'm going over in these videos, the pushing, the simping, focus fire, engagement, all that stuff. A lot of this, go with the commands, but also make sure you have a fair dose of common sense along with it, guys. Common sense will go a long ways. Use your heads. The most valuable skill any clan out there has, that any caller out there has, from my perspective as a caller and commanding the soldiers or whatnot in Clan Wars, my most valuable resource is my soldiers' skill level. Their skill, their ability to play this game and play it well, to beat the enemy, to know their tanks, know the enemy tanks, know the weak spots, just know everything. Everything there is to know. Their skill level is the most important thing I have. So guys, use that. Use your common sense with this stuff. Use your heads. Don't just blindly follow. I don't want to say, you know, don't do something the caller didn't say. Like, especially on a push command like this. Okay? When the order comes to push, push. But while you're pushing, use your heads, though. Make sure, you know, if you can push on the left, let's say the IS-7 there, if he can push on the left side and his lower plate's going to be exposed, or he can push on the right side and keep his lower plate covered, common sense says IS-7, push on the right side then. Use the strengths of your tank. Now, in this situation, this is very common. Let's say I've sent out my scouts. I found out the enemy has a group of tanks here. So I want to get my tanks here. I want to wipe out these guys before, again, before the enemy caller can reinforce them or pull them back or whatever. So here comes the push. We're pushing. I know what the enemy's got. I positioned my guys perfectly. We're rolling right into them. IS-7s are going low, trying to keep their lower plates covered. See the E5 on the right. Using his head, he's going to hold down fire, but he's still pushing, still doing what the caller wants him to do. This is exactly what we want. We want just completely overwhelm the enemy, guys. Just get in there, confuse the heck out of them, and wipe them out. Completely crush them. If you do this, if you push, you focus fire like this, you get them dead, your success in Clan Wars, guys, will go through the roof. You would be shocked at how much better and more effective you will become if you push right, if you engage right, you focus fire right, and you simp right, and you use common sense. You do these things, you'll be great. You'll be great. Okay, so like I said, I sent out my scouts. I knew they had a group of tanks here. What was it? 5 tanks. We wiped them out. We've got a 5-tank lead. Well, -2 now, but that's fine. This is not a perfect scenario, guys. This is just to show y'all basically what I'm talking about, to show you what I mean. Okay, so now the enemy's got a Foch 155, a 57, a couple of E5s. They're in a hold down position. I've got IS-7s and IS-4s. Now for this scenario, I say push again. 1, we have the tank lead. 2, the enemy's tanks' guns are better than our guns. If we stay back where we were at, they're going to be more effective than we are. They've got the better guns, they aim quicker, they're more accurate, and they got that big Foch with the firepower. So I say push right into them, push right into them. Let's negate that advantage. Let's get up close and do what these tanks do best. Let's brawl with them. So that's what we're doing. Now the enemy team, they do not have orders to let us win. It's whatever team wins this, wins this. I told my guys, push into them, push hard, don't stop until either we're dead or they're dead. Again, you cannot hide. To any soldier out there watching this, if a caller tells you to push and you push, you do what you're supposed to do, and the push fails, and you lose or whatever, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. It's the caller's fault. It's his job to make sure that he put you into a situation that you would win. It's his job to make sure that you have the superior numbers, the superior position, etc., etc. Back to pushing. Got a little off topic there. The most important thing, guys, the most important things with pushing, what we want to go over is everybody goes at once. Try to share your hit points. Try to spread the damage out amongst you. Focus fire is absolutely critical. If you push, you must focus fire. If you don't focus fire, you will die. You will lose. Simping, focus fire, push together, stay together, continue on, listen to the caller, and again, all of this must be taken with a huge dose of common sense. Again, guys, take these scenarios with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that this exact thing would happen in Clan Wars. As a matter of fact, this exact thing probably would not happen in Clan Wars. But you get the general idea of what I mean. Perhaps not this exact thing with this location and these particular tanks would happen, but scenarios just like this do happen all the time. The heavy tanks orders here are just to move up, engage the enemy, and this is really just to show you why we do things the way we do things. So I tell my tanks, okay, here's what we're doing. We're going to engage these guys. I just want these tanks to engage. We're going to keep the enemy in their position. We're going to keep their attention focused on us. We're going to try to do as much damage as we can. We're going to try to hopefully get some kills. And we're all the while going to be using the strengths of the tank that we are in and try to exploit anything we can about whatever the enemy tanks are, whether if it's a tank we know has a weak turret or a tank they have that didn't have good depression, whatever. Guys, make sure you really know what's going on. Do not be afraid to ask questions, guys. Do not be afraid to ask questions. I would love it if any time a soldier was unsure about anything that he would ask me, hey, what exactly are we doing here in this situation, you know, as far as going over the strategy before the map. Please ask. It's better to know exactly what's going on. Okay, so these tanks here, we're engaging the enemy, we're damaging the enemy, we're keeping their attention focused on us. There's no way the enemy can retreat. If they try pulling out of there, they're going to show their rear end to us and we will tear them apart. They are forced to stay in that position and just engage us, which is exactly what we want them to do. Now, my medium tanks now have moved up on their flank. The medium tanks are now starting to engage them. We now have the enemy in a crossfire. Their caller's confused. Their tankers are confused. They're like, oh crap, what do we do now? So, you know, now is the critical time of the match. We've got them where we want them. They're confused. What are we going to do now type thing. Okay, time to go. Time to rock them and sock them. Between our engaging and the mediums, we got the hit points. Now it's time to finish them off. Focus fire, focus fire, focus fire. Use your heads, use common sense. This is the ideal thing. This is why we engage in Clan Wars, so that we can allow stuff like this to happen, so we can allow flanks to happen. Soldiers, very important, listen to the caller's commands. When he tells you to push, push. This is a good scenario right here of why we do that, why we it's important to go when you're supposed to go and not go when you're not supposed to go. We just saw all of that right here, this little scenario. If the medium tanks had not pushed, the heavy tanks could have ended up eventually getting wiped out, because you know the enemy obviously had a superior force. If the heavy tanks had pushed when they're not supposed to, they could have been wiped out, and then the mediums would have drove up into this massive heavy group with no other tanks to help them, and they would have been screwed. So it's very important, guys. Listen to what the caller says. Throw in your own dose of common sense. I can't stress enough the need to use your own common sense and your own skill. You know, the caller's giving you a task. He's giving you a mission. When he tells you to do something, when he says, hey, go here and do this, he's giving you that mission. That's your task. But it's up to you to do to figure out the best way within his guidelines of how to accomplish that mission or that task. And that's where your common sense and your personal skill level comes into play. Really, really just use your common sense, guys, and listen to what the caller says. Again, this is Ironhide X with the Enjoy Clan, North American server, best clan out there. We are recruiting. If you want any information for that, go to our website, enjoytanking.com. If anybody has any requests for any videos, please feel free to post in the comment box. Let me know. If y'all want any more guides, if you want guides on specific tanks, anything that you guys want, you tell me. I will make it for you. Just let me know. Also, everybody out there that's watching this, please feel free to share this video with anybody and everybody. The more people I can get watching, the more enthused I get about it, and the more videos I will make. So yeah, feel free to share. If you disagree with anything I've said, or have any comments or anything like that on anything, feel free to let me know. Let me know what you think, guys. Again, I had a lot of fun making this. Thank you again for everybody that showed up to help me. I literally gave these guys like 10 seconds notice. And in just about a few minutes, I had, 20 guys, 25 guys, bam, ready to go. It was pretty awesome. Thank you everybody again from Excite, from Enjoy 2, and Enjoy Maine. You guys are great. And we'll see you again next time.